Let's face it, folks, it's getting impossible to keep up. I mean, every day there is another AI update that's coming down the pipeline. There are marketing trends that we're trying to keep up with, algorithmic changes, what is happening in SEO, and newsletters that are popping up that are extremely valuable that we all sign up for. But what happens? All those go into your inbox and it becomes overwhelming, paralyzing. It looks like a war zone. But I have some good news for you, because I have created an AI automation in N8N that solves this problem. It goes out, it reads all of my newsletters, every mail, every email, every single day. And then it summarizes those, gives me a title, the link, and then just puts them into one simple email that I can scan, get the information I want, pick the stories I want to focus on, and it saves me countless hours of going through all of this stuff. And this is truly my secret sauce. It is the first thing when I wake up every single morning, that email is in my inbox. It's why I can write so many newsletters. It's why I've been able to do so many videos. And it truly is the reason why I can keep up. So if you want a tutorial, if you want to learn my secret sauce, grab your beverage of choice. For me, it's getting pretty late at night. I am actually getting a bottle of Montepulciano, I think is how you say it. It's an Italian red wine. And we're going to pour a glass here. And we're going to start the tutorial. Cheers. So good. Welcome to the API for Everyone Daily Brief. Before we jump into the platform, I just want to say one thing. You might not be very tech savvy, but please do not let that stop you from putting this automation together. It's not that complicated. And the more that you do this, the more you start to understand how this works, it'll just start clicking for you, the easier it becomes. So if you do get stuck, just rewind the video and take your time. And if for some reason you don't understand something I said, you can always take a screenshot of what's going on, put it in ChatGPT and ask, what am I doing wrong? What is my next step? And you should be able to get back on track that way as well. All right, well, let's jump into the platform. Step one is to create your newsletter inbox. So you're going to start by creating a Gmail account. I highly recommend Gmail just for newsletters. This is what you're going to use to subscribe to everything that you want summarized. It could be AI, marketing, investing, real estate, whatever niche it is that you pick. So just go to gmail.com, create an account, name it something like your niche, whatever number at gmail.com. Use this email to subscribe to every single newsletter in your industry, and don't use it for anything else. This is a dedicated inbox for that. And what we're doing here is we're isolating all of our newsletter traffic so N8N can just read one inbox and one inbox only. And this is keeping your main email, your important email, it's keeping it very clean and our automation laser focused. So my email, it is just for AI and tech updates. So every day this inbox fills up for me with the latest from Google, OpenAI, some other newsletters that I really find valuable. And it just has made my life so much easier. So once this is ready, we can now automate everything. So let's move over to N8N and set up the trigger that runs this workflow every single day. Oh, and before we jump into the canvas to actually start building, I should address the fact that this is going to cost you about $24 per month to create this and to run it through N8N's platform. I do recommend just the starter package. You can see here it's $24 a month or $20 a month if you pay for the entire year. And it's 2,500 workflow executions, plenty for what we're doing here. And I will tell you that $20 a month absolutely is worth it for the amount of time that this saves me. So I just want to make sure that you understand there is a fee. You do have to subscribe to do this, but it's very inexpensive for what you get. Now, there's also ways for you to run it locally or on your own cloud server. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to do it as a subscription and everything right here within the N8N platform itself. I should mention that N8N does have a 14-day free trial. So if you sign up today, you can build this out, test it, make sure that you're comfortable with it before you commit to that monthly subscription. So here we are in the canvas. This is my workflow. It really is not that complicated. And we're going to rebuild this step by step. But I wanted to show you the full model before we start building the single pieces so you understand the entire flow and how it works. This first node, these are called nodes. Each one of these is a node. And this very first node is called schedule trigger. And all that means is something's going to happen on a certain day at a certain time. That's all this scheduled trigger node means. And I'll explain that when we go into it. But what is going to happen on this day and time? Well, that's what the next node is all about. And that is get many messages. What this is doing is going into the newsletter inbox that we created just for the newsletters. It's going to go in there and grab all the messages that are in there and scan them and look at them. And then you see this aggregate node. What it's doing, it's taking all those pieces and putting them together into one space. It's aggregating them. Then they're going to go into the AI agent, and the AI agent is going to, we're using Gemini. It is going to do a prompt that we tell it to do, which is basically breaking down the emails, creating a brief description, saving the link, putting in the title, and then what we want is for that to go into another email. Well, the problem is when it spits this out, it's in what's called markdown language, and we need it turned into HTML for an email. And it's okay if you don't know what that exactly means. All we're doing is trying to get it formatted in a way that the email is going to look clean, easy to read, and just very simple for us. We do that here in the next node called Markdown. And all that's doing is changing from the Markdown to the HTML. And then boom, it goes into the next node, the last node, which is Send the Message. And that's sending this entire workflow to our business email, that one email from all of these that we can easily read. And you might notice there is this one kind of wild one out here in the middle of nowhere. And all this node is doing is once this scans the emails and it aggregates them in, it's going to mark those as if they've been read. So hopefully that makes sense. This is kind of cool too. If you click this execute workflow, you can kind of watch the whole system do its thing. And this is how you test to make sure everything's working as well. So you can see these went green. It just means it triggered. On my executing of the workflow, it went and looked at all the messages in my inbox. It marked them as read. It aggregated all that content. And right now, the AI agent is doing its magic. You can see green here. It transferred from Markdown to HTML, and then it sent me a message. And here is that message. So I've already had one ran earlier today, so there's not a lot on here. But you can see, even in just the little amount of time today, there are 4 other newsletters that are now in here. It gave me a title, it gave me the link, and it gave me a description about what that is. So this gives me a really good idea if I want to click this, read about this thumbnail creator, read about 10 AI productivity hacks, lessons from a veteran YouTuber. So all these things, it's just right at my fingertips now and not overwhelming. So it's just beautiful. Now we are on our big, beautiful blank canvas in N8N. And the first thing that I want to point out to you is up here in the top left, you can see right next to personal. If you click that, you can change the name of this workspace to whatever you want. So if you're creating multiple workspaces, you're definitely going to want to name these something in particular. And you can always add tags to this as well. So there's plenty of ways to keep all of this stuff organized. Okay, what you saw in the full workspace from earlier, the full automation, the first step that we need is a scheduled trigger. So we're going to click this big X right in the middle, this add the first step, and you'll see this box on the right-hand side fully pull up here. So what we're going to want to do is pick this on a schedule right here, and you're just going to click that. And you're going to notice this pops up. Now, if you click this back to canvas on the top left, you can see that node is now there. If you go back in and you click the node, you're back in this space. So this is the very first thing that we're going to do here. Now, this workflow, what do we want? We want this to come to us every day. You can have it done in seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, customize it. For this case, we want it just every day in the morning, so days. Days between triggers, we want to do it daily, so 1. Trigger at what hour? Well, let's have this come into us by 8 a.m. in the morning, so that way a lot of newsletters come out super early, so you're going to get the bulk of them in the morning. And if you want it at 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, whatever, you can actually change it right here as well. So if I click this execute step, you can see right here there's an output that it is triggered and ready to go. So now we're going to click back to canvas and we're going to move on to node number 2. Well, now our automation knows when it needs to run. Now it's time to tell it what it needs to do or what it needs to pull. And in this case, it's going into our Gmail, our newsletter inbox, and pulling all of that out. What we're going to do is we're going to click this little plus sign there again. Boom. It's going to bring up this box on the left. You are going to just search for Gmail. And you're going to see the Gmail pop up. You're going to click that and you're going to see all these different options. I mean, there's so much we can do in here. It's insane. What we're going to look for is what's called Get Many Messages. And is the fourth one down. So you're going to click that. Now, what I want to point out here within this node, and remember, we're inside of the node, is that on this side, we have our input. In this case, it is the trigger. So that's all the input from the trigger. And on the right-hand side, we have the output. Now, there's nothing there yet because we haven't ran this node, but we will get to that in just a moment. Now, you're going to go here in the middle, and the first thing you're going to do is click this credentials to connect with Gmail account. So in this case, you're just going to click whatever account you might have already in here. If you have nothing in here, you're going to click create new credential. You're going to click that. You don't have to worry about any of this for this tutorial. All you're going to do for now is just sign in with Google. So if you click that, you go through the process. You are just simply going to sign in with your Google account. And then as you can see, I have mine right here. Once that's in there, you're just going to click it, and that's the email that is going to go out and read all the messages from. For resource, you can see you've got some different options, but here we're just going to stick with message. The operation is get many. We want to get all of the emails that are in there. We want to return all. We want to make sure that we get everything that's in there. But here's a super tip for you because I made this mistake the first time around. Unclick simplify. Now, it might seem like you want simplify to be there because we're trying to make this easy, but this actually doesn't scan all of your email. It doesn't capture everything, and it just doesn't work the way that you want it to work. So make sure that that is unchecked. Now I've got one more thing for you to do in this node, and that is add a filter. And for this filter, you want to click read status. And what's going to happen here is you want unread emails only. So as this thing continues to go in your inbox, if it's going to pull and read these emails, you don't want to do the same ones over and over and over. So it's only going to go in the inbox and look for those unread emails. So that's what this particular box is for. Now, that's all the settings for this particular node. So we will run an execute step. And as you can see here, now we have output. And for the output, we have all the information from the email. So our second node is completed. Now we have all of those emails loaded inside of N8N here. So the next step is going to be to combine them. Every email all in one place. That way the AI can read all of them together and summarize them for us. So what we're going to look for is the aggregate node. The next step of the workflow is to now aggregate all of this content that we have within this email. So click the plus button again right here to find our next node. In the search box, just start typing in the word aggregate. You'll see it pop up right in the top here. So click that. Now, once again, on the left-hand side, you see your input. On the right-hand side, you see output, but there's nothing there. We have not executed the node. But this input is now going to come into play. So what we want to do is this individual fields for aggregate is absolutely what we want. So keep that there. But the input field, what do we want this to be? Well, we want that to be the HTML from the email. So what we're going to do is on this side, you can see these little boxes, ID, headers, all this stuff. You're going to find the one that says HTML. HTML. Here we go. All you're going to do is you're going to put it here. You're going to take the little box, click on it, and you're going to move it over and put it in the input field. That's literally it. That's all you have to do. And this is going to come in handy here for more nodes in the future. So just take note of what we just did. Now, what I want to do is also rename this field because in a future node, we're going to want to know what this is. So I'm just going to call this all newsletters. And we're going to be looking for this field in the future. But for now, all newsletters is what I'm calling it. And that is literally all we need to do within this node. So let's click the execute step and make sure that everything is working. So here you go. The node executed successfully. And we have brought in, aggregated all those emails into one spot. Now we go back to Canvas and we can see we got green all across the board. It is time for our next node. Now that we've merged all those newsletters into one file with our aggregator, we are now going to create an AI agent node that does some work. It's going to read it all. It's going to scan it. It's going to clean it up, and it's going to craft that email that we want sent to us. So all we need to do here is click the plus button, the same thing we've been doing every step. This comes up, just search for AI agent, and this will pop up. Now, let me go back to Canvas just real quick so you fully just get used to the interface back and forth. You can see we now have an AI agent node sitting here. And then when you click on it, this pops up. Just like every other node, we have input on the left, we have output on the right. There's nothing here because we have not executed any steps yet. The first thing that I want you to do is look for this source for prompt. What is that going to be? You can connect a chat trigger node, but we are not going to do that here. We are going to define it below. And you can see right here, we have a prompt user message, and you're going to put something in there. What I'm going to do now is put it on the screen, and I'll also put this prompt in the description or comment section so you can copy and paste it. But you're just going to copy and paste that and throw that inside of this prompt user message. The next thing I want you to do is scroll down to where it says add option. You don't need to worry about these two boxes or checking anything there. Just go to add option. And then out of all of these options, just click the system message. Then what I'm going to have you do is, and I'll put it again on your screen, I'll put it in the description, I'll put it in the comment. I just want you to add in, copy and paste, and put in this very simple system message. So again, it's right there on your screen, and pop it in there. One more thing to do here is up at the top, parameters settings, click on settings. And what I want you to do is click this toggle here, retry on fail. So that way, if something happens, if there is a failure, that it is going to just keep going. It's not just going to stop and fail. So we'll give it 3 max tries in this 1,000. That's a second. So let's move this up to, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds, something like that, just so it has a little bit of a wait between tries. And that is pretty much it for this node, except for the most important part, the one that's going to make it work. And there's 2 ways to do this. You want to add the chat model. So you'll see here down at the bottom, there's these little pluses again, chat model, memory, and tool. You can just click the chat model button, and you're going to see over here all of these options that come up. You can use Anthropic, you can use Google Gemini, you can use Grok, OpenAI's ChatGPT. So you have so many different options here. But what we're going to use, because we're in Gmail and it just makes sense to continue down our Google thing, is the Google Gemini chat model. So we're just going to click that. Now, I'm going to have to take you on a little bit of a journey here outside of N8N, because you're going to need to go get an API. You're going to have to get an API to put in here. So what I want you to do is create new credential. So you're just going to click create new credential. What you're going to need is this API key. Getting an API key is super easy, so please don't let that intimidate you. We're going to go over to aistudio.google.com. You can log in and use the newsletter email that we just created for this system to grab that API key, or you can log into a different email account that you might have, whatever you need to do to set this up. But I like just using the dummy email that we created for this. For me, it keeps everything very neat and very organized. So once you're in there, just scroll to the bottom here, and you're going to see 3 little menu items. And the first one is get an API key. So you're going to click that, and it's going to take you to this page here. Up at the top right, click create API key. You're just going to click that, and then name your key, whatever you want to name it. So for this, I'm just going to call it test 1, since I already have my API key set up. And then select what project you are working on. If you don't have anything in there, create a project. For me, this is the Gemini stuff that I'm working on. And then after that, just click create key. Now, once that happens, you're going to see that you can just copy the API key right here on the right-hand side. If you need to set up billing, if you're using a ton of API calls, you're going to be able to do that. And then you're going to see the usage stats as well. So in the future, you might have to set up billing depending on how much you use it. But for today, we're just going to use the free tier plan. So copy that API key, and then let's go back over to our page here. If you remember, we are in the canvas. We are in our Google Gemini chat mode, and we are putting in our API key, just like that. Boom. And that's all we need to do is click save, and you are good to go with this particular node. Now, one thing I want to point out too is you had another way to put this in there outside of the bottom of the page here, and you could have just added it. As you see, there was another box here, just like memory and tools. So you have that option as well. Oh, and keep in mind too, I never mentioned this, but you can move these around, whatever is good for you. I just like to keep a really good flow, but when you create huge workflows, it can get a little bit overwhelming. So it's a good just practice to keep everything very neat and very tidy. So what we're going to do here is let's execute this mode. Let's make sure everything is working as advertised. Now, this could take a couple of seconds because, again, it's grabbing all of the emails, bringing them together, and then it's going to now process those based on the prompt that we put in and the system message that we put in. Now, I will speed this up a little bit for you just to make sure that I respect everybody's time. Here is our output. So that took about 2 minutes for it to fully process. But remember, this is where processing is actually happening. So there's work being done. There's processing being done with the prompt. So this could take, a minute, 2 minutes, maybe more, depending on how complex your workflow is or how many emails are in your inbox, depending on what you signed up for. But our AI agent and our model are both installed. So this node is now complete. We can celebrate a little bit here. We're very close to being done. We have completed all of these steps. And now what do we need to do? We need to get this email to our main inbox. So you're going to click this little plus button again. It's going to bring up our options over here. In the search, just look again for Gmail. You're going to click that. And then what action do we want to do here? If you look at all these, it will be send a message. We want to send a message to us. So now here you go. It's just like every other node, input on one side, output on the other. If I go back to Canvas, you can see that it is now in my node workflow. So if we click that back again, you can see we need to now set this up. So the very first thing, credential to connect with, it'll be the same email that you set up on the first Gmail node that we made. So just click that credential. The resource is a message. So we're going to keep that where it is. We want to send this message. And who do we want to send this message to? Well, we're going to send it to our main email, the email that we want, that we use every day. That's our main inbox, whether that's your personal or your professional. But we want, again, instead of 30 emails, this is just one email to our main inbox. For subject, just do something that you know is going to hit your memory. So for here, we're just doing the test since I already have one running, the AI newsletter test. We're going to do it in HTML. And then what is the message? That is the $64,000 question here. And this is where JSON comes back in. So we're going to look over at the input. And if you look over here, you will see the entire flow of that input. So we had the trigger, we got the messages, we aggregated them into one, and then we put them into the AI agent that ran it through Gemini. And you can see right here, there's an output. All we're going to do is click on that output and move it over here to where it says message. And that's it. That's literally all you have to do. So now let's execute this step and make sure that everything, again, is working. And there we go. The node was executed successfully. Now let's go to our inbox. And there we go. Our AI newsletter test. You see it there. We have everything formatted. It looks fantastic. I do want to touch on one issue that does pop up from time to time when I've walked people through this, because again, everything is not ready for prime time. There's still some challenges. The output isn't always the same. So just understand there's always a little bit of problem solving that has to go in here. But if for some reason your email does not look as formatted as mine does, it just doesn't come out as good, or maybe you're using ChatGPT or a different AI agent and it might just be doing something different. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to click that plus box in between your AI agent and your send a message node. And I want you to find something called function. You just start putting function in and you'll see code pop up. I want you to click that code. And then I want you out of these two options to pick code and JavaScript. Code and JavaScript. Now, I don't expect anybody to understand this. I'm just going to put the code in the description or in the comments, wherever you're at. But all I want you to do is replace all of this with the code that I'm going to share with you. And then that should fix any problem that you have. So let's just execute this node. Let's make sure everything looks smooth. There we go. And then I am going to execute this. And here is the updated newsletter. So you can see it's formatted a little bit nicer even than what I had before. So if you have some chops, you can go in there and tweak it and make this all your own. If not, you can just copy and paste the code that I gave you here and everything now is working. But we still have one more thing that we have to do or this is not going to work correctly. We have one more major flaw here that we need to address in our workflow. And if we don't address this issue, it's going to create some major problems for us. The way it's set up now, we have our scheduled trigger. It goes out to get many emails. But the Gmail node is going out and getting unread emails. So if you have 10 emails today, it's going to go out, it's going to get those, and it's going to process them. The problem is we don't have a way right now to mark anything as read. So that way, let's say we had 10 emails today, it's going to process those exact same 10 emails tomorrow, along with anything new that came in. So to optimize this and make sure that we're not doubling up our work or overwhelming any of these inboxes or taxing the system, we just simply want to mark the emails that go through this workflow as read. And it's super easy. Check this out. We're going to go top right and just click on the little plus button. That brings up our search, all of the different nodes that we can use here. So like the other ones, we're going to pick Gmail. We're going to click that. We're going to look for the node that says mark a message as read. And it should be the fifth one down here. Yes, it is. Mark a message as read. Click that. And you are going to see just like all the other nodes. But before we do anything in here, I need you to go back to the canvas. And I need you to see how it's just up here. It's going to be an outlier because it's not going to flow through the whole thing. It only needs to be attached to the Get Many Messages node. So to do that, the little circle that's here, you're just going to click that. You see a line come out and you're just going to move it and attach this node to it. That's all you're doing. And the reason why you're doing that is it's inputting the data from that node and we're going to need that. So this is how you hook it up. It's super easy. So now let's click on this mark a message as read node. What we're going to do here is we're going to connect it with the Gmail account that we're using. So that credentialed account, the email newsletter account we created. The resource here is a message. We want the operation to be marked as read. So you see there's multiple things we can do here. We could delete it. We could do a lot of things. But for now, we're just going to mark it as read because we might want to go back in and look at some things. But what is it marking as read? That's what we have to get. If you go over here to all the inputs of Get Many Messages, you're going to look for something called an ID. Just the ID. You can see right here, ID. We're just going to move that over, JSON. We're just going to move it straight over into there. And now you can see the message ID. This is just going to say this is message 1, message 2, message 3. Whatever that ID is, it's going to mark it as read. So now let's go back through our canvas here. Let's make sure everything is working. Let's execute a workflow and check the email. And we will look right now at the email. You can see there are 5 emails here. 1, 2, let's see. Let's get rid of this one. So let's go in here and see what's happening. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 emails in here that are unread. So let's execute the workflow and see if this works. If we get the email number 1 and if they get marked as read number 2. Let's go. Everything is marked that it's been read in our inbox. And here we go with our email. So we have our title, brief description, and then the link takes us to the articles here. There we go. Everything's working. Now let me give you just a quick bonus tip on this one node that I didn't really address enough. I feel like I left it out. I want to come back to it. But this code in JavaScript, because all we're doing with this again is taking the output that the AI agent creates for us, and we just want to format it into something a little bit nicer for our email that we get. Because if you notice in the email, I made it look really pretty, right? I mean, I could probably make this read article a different color, but overall you can see there's an emoji, a read article, a button that I can press, and everything just looks really nice and neat. And that's where this comes in. You can just put in this JavaScript in order to format the HTML in a way that's going to look good. Now, to be honest with you, the best way to do this, because I don't know JavaScript, it is literally just to go to any of your LLMs, but I find that Claude is really probably the best one. And I'll show you what I did. I just said that this was literally it. I need some JavaScript code to format this into a nice email, because this is what the email looked like initially. It was just the title, the description, and then these huge ugly links. And I just wanted to make it look better. So I uploaded a picture of the email, and then I uploaded a picture of where I needed to put this JavaScript, and then it created all of the code for me. So you can see in here, I made a couple of tweaks as I went through, but this was all the code. And all I did was copy this up here on the far right. I came in here into my code in JavaScript, and I just inputted it here. So you can do that step on your own, and then you just run your executions to give it a test. Well, and I think our time together has come to an end. Let me know if you build this out, if you get it working, if you enjoy it, if it's something you're going to use. And know that you can tweak this. You can do RSS feeds. You can do YouTube channel feeds. You can do multiple different things and just bring those into one email and really streamline your inbox. You could do this with multiple reports that are being sent to you and have all of those put into one email and then have that report sent to you. So you can have these dummy emails, if you will, these very niched emails, but feed all of them into your business email so you can keep that inbox as clean as possible. It's been a complete life changer for me in organization, because I'm not typically the most organized person, but AI has really helped me become much more organized. And it really comes down to, I've never thought about my workflow at the level that I think about it now. I really think about start to finish. What are every step that I need to perform in order to get my goal to be achieved? What do I do? Like typically as an entrepreneur, we just do a lot of trial and error, a lot of chaos, a lot of different things going on there. But in this case, I can really systematically think my own human chain of thought and then start putting those workflows together in something like N8N. I'm telling you, it just elevates your mind and your thought process and your critical thinking to whole new levels, just going through an exercise like this. All right, well, my name is Harrison Painter. This has been your AI for Everyone AI tutorial. And until next time, keep creating, keep innovating, and most importantly, keep up. God bless you.
Thanks for listening. I'm glad you stayed. One more spark for the plans you've made. If this show hit, go share the vibe. Like, subscribe, let's build this tribe. Been blazing trails, now I'm building new. Launch ready's live, and the work is true. No hype, no bull, no vaporware. Just real results and a voice that cares. Keep creating, feel that spark. Keep innovating, leave your mark. support.